Peace reflections, peace all the guys walking the earth. I love myself. I must say that. You know, I love myself. And everyone around me is myself. Everyone around me is myself. Everyone around me is a reflection of myself. So, in order to understand my life, I must study myself so that I can attract people that understand themselves and us all understanding ourselves. Separate consciousness, what's happening, brother? How you doing, man?
What's good, God? How you doing, my man?
Peace, God. Yeah, I'm feeling kosher right now, man. I'm feeling wavy. You know what I mean? I'm feeling quantum.
All right. Well, let's get quantum. You know, I'm always down to go quantum. I mean, go, super conscious, subconscious, going to the higher consciousness. You know what's funny is that when people talk about that higher consciousness or whatnot, really you're going into subconscious. You know what I mean? So like when people like your subconscious is really your higher consciousness. You know what I mean? So like you gotta dissolve the boundaries between your conscious awareness and the universal intelligence by just going into your subconscious. But yeah, we better go quantum. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Quantum is like, okay, we're really like quantum now. Like
we're like what?
As we're speaking, we're really like, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but what'd you say?
We're really quantum like everywhere at one time and nowhere at the same time right now.
Yes, sir.
Like as we're talking to each other, we're each imagining different things that we want to say and different things that connect to all of our other bodies and all of our other experiences throughout the multiverse or the omniverse, and we're putting it all together to focus our objective self into this subjective bodies, to experiencing this subjective relationship with one another. Ooh. And converse certain types of information.
Right now. We about to have a good talk right now for sure. Yes, sir. Like it's like the fractalization of time-space reality. When exactly what you're talking about right now, how your consciousness is ultimately omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. I don't know if you can hear me because it looks like it's lagging, but I'm just gonna keep on talking. But essentially,
yeah, I can hear you, man.
All right, for sure. So essentially, consciousness is, higher consciousness is experiencing multiple timelines, and like the divine self, the I am self, is experiencing all timelines simultaneously, and it's just a fractalization of like one snapshot of the universe and another snapshot of the universe, and it just, separated
right.
frequencies and stuff like that, and emotions, and, the energetic structures, and the currency, and the probability, and the contingency. So that's fly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's infinite. It's infinite. It's an infinite thing. It's like, it's dreams and dreams and dreams and dreams. It's like dreams within dreams. Your subconscious is like when you're in a dream, but you're not lucid. Your subconscious is like when you're in, okay, really like our imagination, right? Our imagination and it is our environment. Okay, so in this how I'm gonna put it. Everything that we experiencing right now is literally just our subconscious mind, but it's us becoming lucid within the dream. Within one of our infinite states, within one of our infinite dreams, we became conscious in this one. We became lucid within this one.
Yes.
And when you don't know who you are, within this dream, you get tossed and turned, and you just go around. You know how most the mass consciousness is. They just go around every day. They working for the system. They don't know what it's really for. They don't know what life is really about. They're in a dream too, and they're just in the dream. Like, when you're in a dream, you wake up in a dream. You don't know. You just go with everything. You're not fully conscious of everything. You just go with everything. You go with the flow. And then when you become lucid, you're like, dang, I'm in a dream. I'm in a whole nother reality. Like, wow, I'm in a dream. That type of information, that type of vibratory frequency, that type of mental state of thinking is what we need to. Gather greetings, immortal fire in the building, the god of math. That type of frequency of thought is what we need to be pushing out to every single melanated god on the planet. Facts, because right now we like the lowest people like on the planet, but we the smartest people on the planet. And isn't that kind of strange? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's strange how we're like the most intelligent beings right now on this earth plane, and we don't have any avenue to express that. You know what I'm saying? We don't have any avenue to express that. So like with the subconscious mind is every imagination, every other dream that you could have. And their conscious experience is the dream that you're currently focused on. So if you literally had an imagination right now, if you literally lied down in your bed or lied down, you know, anywhere, sat down on the couch or anything, and you imagine something, because every single thought unravels a realm. Every single thought you could experience connects to another realm.
Let's go bioelectrical. Let's talk about what is the biological process of the imagination. So essentially, okay, if we're just talking pure biology, whenever you use your imagination, the ability to imagine infinite possibility, or your consciousness tuning into multiple timelines simultaneously, like your consciousness is literally, by the act of imagination, you know, you're reproducing those experiences through, you know, your endocrine glands and your hormone glands and your chakra systems, and by you imagining a certain image, you know, your consciousness is producing those neurochemicals that allows you to experience that sensation, that emotion. But what happens is that not only are you in reality, but you are reality. So simultaneously, as you tuning into that image and your neurochemicals and your chakra systems vibrating for you to experience that experience, that you tune into that dimensional reality, you tune into that timeline, you tune into that contingency probability of the infinite probability field, which is the wave function, which is God. You know what I mean? So when consciousness is conscious of the nature of consciousness, then lucidity arises. Exactly what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Life is fun. Life is weird.
Facts.
I love it. I love
Facts. I was just talking about in my last live, bro. I was just talking about how the brain is actually like a electromagnetic device.
Yeah, exactly.
That we use
it really is.
to maneuver possibilities in and out of our conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The left brain is the logic. It breaks down stuff. It wants to be analytical so that it can make things practical. The right brain, it allows things to flow. It wants to be abstract. It just wants to feel and allow energy to flow and express that and multiply all of the energy around itself and expand that energy. So it's like and then the midbrain is like the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, you know, what is the hypothalamus? I think it's, you know, it's different. It's different mechanisms of the midbrain that connect to the spinal cord, that connect to, you know, the central nervous system, that trickle down the whole body and down to the heart and all of that.
Yes, sir.
So it's like these magnets are literally being pushed together, and the force of these magnets. You know what happens when you force magnets together? When you force them, they polarize, and what happens is it creates this electromagnetic field around around both of the magnets, where it's in a state of electrogravitic suspension.
Ooh, that's fly.
It's in a state of electrogravitic suspension. So there's torus fields, and the heart plays a role in this also. There's torus fields being made by the two brains that we have in our skull and our heart. And this torus fields are communicating different types of information with one another, and is literally moving depending on what you're imagining and what you think you know. Depending on what you think you know, which is the left brain, and what you can imagine, the possibilities that you can imagine, which is the right brain. It's literally moving reality, your subconscious mind. It's moving your subconscious mind around, and it's attracting and repelling specific experiences. That is how we even, you know what I'm saying, was able to talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? Because we're matching a resonance. Our frequencies, both of our frequencies are pushing out a frequency. Any frequency is looking to match another frequency. When you're matching a frequency, that's called resonance.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And everything
So
you
yeah.
said is dead on, like 100% accurate. Because I had wrote a book, and this book I talked exactly about that. I had diagrams of exactly what you're talking about: the magnetic polarizations of the torque field that generates all the creation from your bioelectrical. And there's like the center point right here. You got your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere, and right now it's like in the middle is like the magnetic field right here, which is your heart space, which is the biggest magnetic projector that you have in the bioelectrical body. And exactly what you talked about, I had the whole diagram for that in my book, which I'll definitely send you that, because that's fly. The fact that you said that you're in resonance with that, because that's 100% accurate, 1,000, a million, infinity% accurate. Like exactly what you just said right now. Truth. That is truth.
Hey, but listen though, this is what I want to go into, bro. Listen though, the way I found out about that, was through my melanin, bro. I found out about that by literally taking basic shit and just meditating on it, and that was it. I didn't study much on this, bro. I haven't studied much on any of this.
No
and
doubt.
see, this is why we have to study astrology, because in my astrological natal chart, I have a Libra Jupiter in the 10th house, and the Libra Jupiter in my 10th house is what actually allows me to take any information and expand it within my own consciousness.
That's fly.
So
how I came across this information was in my dream. So in my dream, there's this man that I definitely studied. Like he's an ascended master. Like his name is Manly Palmer Hall. Look into Manly Palmer Hall. Man's consciousness is on like alien level.
You talking about Manly P. Hall?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Manly P. Hall, man. Yeah, he all right. He's straight.
So he came.
What would you say about him? My bad. What would you say?
That he had came to me in my dream. Like it's weird. He really came to me in my dream, because I study him hard. So that like I have a conscious connection to him because I study him. So like this is his book right here. The Secret Teaching of All Ages. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but essentially, he breaks down the mechanics of the body and the bioelectrical field and consciousness and stuff like that. So
yeah.
So anyways, so I had a dream one night, and he had told me what a Xenoman was, and like in the dream I had got stuck, and I could not move. But because I could not move, like legit, I closed my eyes and I became lucid in the dream, and like I phased through the wall. And while I was doing that, Manly Palmer Hall was whispering in the background, and he was talking about the Xenoman and the ability to morph the morphogenic field of the human body. Exactly what we're talking about, the morphogenic field. And by you switching your cognition, you're switching your parallel realities or your state of being. Your state of being is what we're talking about, the magnetic field of the intricate of the auric field, the Taurus Orus field that generates your state of being.
The aura.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You shifting your auric field, you're shifting your being, your state of being, then you're shifting, your position in time-space reality. And time-space reality is an illusion. It's a fabrication of the human imagination. That the human imagination is imagining itself as a human. The imagination is all that we are. Is the isness. Is the supreme intelligence. It is God. The imagination is the faculty within humans, which is imagining yourself as a human, but really it's just God. And if you can expand your creator ability, which is imagining, which is tuning into timelines, which is tuning into different dimensional densities of vibratory rates of experiences, which is really just configurations of matter, or matter is just really spirit, because obviously that's the train. Like, that's pretty evident.
Facts.
So that
E equals MC. Facts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's where I came up with that.
Energy is matter.
You know what I mean? It was in my dream, and he had came to me and he was telling me about that. Like legit, you could shift, the morphogenic field of the magnetic field of the human body by shifting your cognition and where you position yourself in the subconscious plane. It's just really weird, but yeah, that's life. That's life for you.
Yeah, man. Dang, what was I about to say? I was about to say, okay. Whatchamacallit, the imagination
Exactly.
matters more. Magi.
Magi.
the magician
Yeah,
part of yourself,
exactly.
it matters highly because it highly matters. It's very, very important because what we have to understand is that, like you said, everything is the imagination. And when you tune into something that people don't think is possible, when people don't think it's possible, you bring the logic on how to do it. If you focus enough on anything, any concept that you see in your mind, that you see in your mind's eye, which is the imagination, the pineal, and you see that and you focus enough on that, you will attract situations, which is what I'm doing right now. That's how I know it.
But yeah, I know.
You attract situations and people and stuff like that into your life that that connect. I got a booger or something.
You get
That connect with actualizing that imagination, actualizing what's in your Taurus field.
yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
So like, because I was just, before you even text me to do this live, I was doing a meditation on self-love. Like, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself.
Yes.
And then you got texted me, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, let's go. You know, I can't deny that. You know what I mean? So like exactly.
Yeah.
Like exactly what you were saying.
That was that sign. That was that sign. Like yeah. You ready? You ready?
So I gotta tell you the day I was born and the time I was born. I was born at 4/4/7 on February 16th, the 47th day of the year. You know what I mean? Like I was born in, and I don't know if you know who Capital Steez is, and like legit, like that's exactly how I experience reality, like the synchronicity of 47, and I'm able to like obviously life's a holographic universe, and how we're just morphic genic field, you know, playing the fabric of reality, which is just spirit, which is matter. Oh, we had to talk about love and light. That's essential. So what is love essentially? This source, you know what I mean? Like love is supreme intelligence. That's how it is light. You know what I mean? Love is light. You know, if you love yourself, if you are able to love yourself, your magnetic field, you know, the morphogenic field within your bioelectrical field, like the Taurus field, will expand, because the light that you're holding within this bioelectrical vessel, or vibratory, you know, fractalization expression as the human, a hue. Let's break down the etymology. Hue means light, is also another word for God. Man, prefix, manifestation. Light, manifestation, and let's add in the race. So hue, man, race. Light, manifestation, ratio. That is what that means. And that's why we got different pigmentations. There's some people that are extremely melanin, and some people are Caucasian, like on the opposite spectrum. It's because it's the light spectrum. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. It's the light spectrum. So the whole notion of the imagination, like you said earlier, magi. As I imagine, so it becomes the essence of magic. Magic.
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. You know what I mean? Or open.
Ashe.
Open. You know what I mean? Like open.
Open sesame.
Exactly. And pentagram. Open. You know what I mean? Like that just a gateway portal. You know what I mean? Open. So like magic is real. And you're a magi. I'm a magi. You know what I mean? We are magicians. We are Christ.
Everything is magic. That's what I don't understand about people that they talk about like witchcraft is bad and stuff. No, there's the way you use witchcraft can be bad. The way you use it can be bad. Nah, everything is witchcraft. The mind manipulates itself. You study the Hermetic principles, all is mind, all is mental first. The mind manipulates itself by focusing on specific parts of its infinite self and creating subjective thoughts. These thoughts are infinite. It's infinite thoughts. And these thoughts are being manipulated, which are the mind. So it's the mind manipulating itself. And all magic is, or witchcraft is the tool of the wise. It's the wise craft. That's what it's called. That's what the word witchcraft comes from. Craft of the wise. So it's just people that know about their own mind, that study their own mind. And that brings me to what love is. Love is understanding, bro. Like you said, love is supreme intelligence.
Yeah.
Supreme intelligence is doing its best to understand everything. That's it.
Exactly.
When you because if you listen, this is what it is. If you know everything, then you know nothing. So in order to have an experience, in order to not be nothing, literally we're a God infinitely running away from himself and then running back. Playing the game of hide and seek with itself. If you know everything, you know nothing. Because if you know everything,
Alpha and Omega,
then there would be nothing to know. So if you're no thing, then you have to know a thing. In order to know a thing from no thing, you have to take a specific part of no thing, which is something that could exist because you really don't exist, something that could exist, and you take that piece of knowing a thing from no thing, and you're taking a piece which is sum. So that's how you create a summation, or a summary, or a summation of something. So everything has to be something. Love is understanding. Once we start to understand why we in the situations we in as a people, as beings on this earth plane, and why the world's so fucked up, and why we have these wars and shit, and rumors of wars and all this bullshit going on, we will actually understand that it's all because of us. It's all because of self. It's all because of self, period.
Yeah.
And in order for us to truly love, because in order for us to truly love, we all have to individually and conditionally, because unconditional love is it. But the only way humanity can experience unconditional love is if we become unified in one mind. If we become conscious within our own subjective programs that we are the objectivity, that we are the objective self, we are the unification of one mind. And until that happens, nothing is going to change. We have to alchemize everything that's going on with ourselves. We have to alchemize our own energies first. And then when we alchemize our own energies, we attract other people that are alchemizing their energy. And when all of these people are alchemizing their energy, all together, we literally take the heavenly realms, or the so-called higher realms, and we manifest that here on this plane of existence. So that's basically the whole point of us talking, period. The whole point of us conversing. Whole point of people watching this. Anybody that's watching this right now, they're getting codes. Whether they take it and use it or not, they're getting very divine, like high energy indigo codes.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm talking about? Purple energy. You know what I'm saying? Close to the darkness, but still light. You know what I'm talking about?
Sixth density. That's what we're associated with. Raw.
So yeah.
Have you studied Raw? The Law of One.
Oh, you asked me that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, of course.
You studied the Law of One, Raw?
Yeah, I am Raw.
So there's this text, it's a channel text, and in this channel text, it was the people that orchestrate, not the people, the consciousness, this God, which is Ra, which is that code, which is this code of creation, broke down the universe on the multi-dimensional density planes. And essentially what we're talking about, well, first and foremost, let's talk about love. We're going to systematically bring this up. So love, from the bioelectrical field, if you were to expand your self-love, first and foremost,
I'm grateful,
then your magnetic field would expand, and it can expand to infinity. And once it expands to infinity, then you are unconditional love. But remember, it's the magnetic field, it's the light. So the magnetic field unifies with the universal magnetic, which is the universe, and you know what I mean, like God's consciousness. And whenever magnetic field of the heart space is one with the universal heart space, which is God, you know what I mean, like the Tao, the harmonious expression, you become unconditional love, and you become the son of God in this incarnation, because your heart space has expanded. The magnetic field is in unification with the collective manifestation field of the planet, and then the universe, and then you're just one being. And then when we're talking about wisdom right here, so Ra talked about how there's multiple densities or dimensions. Indigo is what Ra is. Their indigo collective consciousness known as a social memory complex. And the social memory complex, they associate sixth density with the mastery of love and light. Love and light is the essence. You know what I mean? Like the fundamental essence of creation is love and light. Now, if you were, and this just forms the shadow. And the shadow is just physical form. If you were to go within into the one infinite creator, then your consciousness unifies with the collective consciousness, and you tap into the oversoul, and the oversoul is just God. You know what I mean? Like that in supreme alpha, omega, omniscience, omnipresence, omnipotent intelligence. So that's what love is. It's really the magnetic field unified with the collective magnetic field, which is light. And it's all just light. It's just the soul. Your individual soul, the illusion of individuality, it unifies with the collective soul or the oversoul, and now you're just a cosmic being, experience just a point of awareness. You know what I mean? And then no one is perfect. You know what I mean? So no one is who one must become to reach perfection. That's really that simple. It's really that simple, man. Really that simple.
That's what I want to say, man. Like, cause really, like in our subjective experiences, when we go outside of our our subjective experiences, of course we can experience unconditional love for a certain amount of time, but we have to notice that we have a mission. And if you stay in that too long, you're going to be like, nah, they're going to push you back. You can't, they're going to push you back into the conditional realm.
You got to be
into conditional.
That's the next stage. Is love, and then peace. And peace is associated with these chakras right here. Peace is stillness. Peace is nothingness. That is peace. So you go from unification with one to nothingness, and that is what peace is. So obviously the conditions or the forms are going to want to acclimate your vibration back to the the matrix hive mind, but ultimately in order to sustain homeostasis or in resonance with the higher frequencies, you got to become nothing, because you're just
Facts.
nothing. Like if we were to stay silent right now, all there is consciousness morphing the atoms with the magnetic field, generating a sound, which is generating all motions and the configurations of matter and stuff like that. But prior to configuration and prior to me talking, it always goes back to nothing. So I'm talking, but the sound dissipates into nothing. As you can imagine, you can have a thought you could tune into from that nothingness, and that's the magi. From nothing,
Facts.
Creation.
I call that the void.
The void. Enter the void.
I call that the void.
Exactly. In my book, crazy, because I need to send you my book. In my book, that's the first thing. Enter the void. Enter the void.
Yeah, I call that the void, man. I had an experience. With the void, man. It was crazy. I thought I was in this realm, and it was like hell. Like it was like people fighting out here, people screaming, yelling, shit blowing up. I'm sitting in my car. I'm thinking the ground started coming up out of itself, and I'm falling into this darkness. Car's turning. I'm thinking everything's real, bro. And shit, the car's turning, and I'm like, damn, I'm about to die, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, dang, I'm about to die. And then it kept happening so long. I was just like, dang, I ain't dead yet. I was like, fuck it, type of shit. You know what I'm saying? I was like, forget it. And then as soon as I got to that state of like not caring about dying, like just straight up embracing transformation, light popped up, and I was just in another realm. I was in a whole nother dimension, bro. I was in a whole nother dimension. This happened like a couple more times to help me realize how life really is, how life really works. And like these lotus flowers, these purple lotus flowers, you know how the crown chakra, when they symbolize the crown chakra as being that purple flower floating over the head, it was like a whole bunch of these laying over the whole plane, like in geometric pattern, like in like squares, like evenly shaped out, evenly spaced out. And it was like a blanket, and it came over the whole plane and just covered the whole plane, and then it just exploded, like boom, whole plane. It exploded, boom. And then it was this burst of light. This burst of light took me to this darkness. This burst of light had me going into a quarrel. And it like had me into this chaos, right? And that let me know that before you manifest something, you must go to the chaos of the waters of Nu. And when you go to this quantum field, which is the chaos, when you're able to steal that, like you were just saying about the peace, when you're able to steal that and embrace it fully, in order to do something, then you manifest yourself into another realm. You manifest yourself into another dimension. And then you get the experience. And see, when I went to these other dimensions, it was like I knew these people. Like, it was people I was around, like I knew them. They were like similar to people here that I know, but they weren't exactly the same. But they like had similar energy and like doing some of the same things. But like all of the colors and stuff was different. Like all the colors on the street and stuff was different. Trees looked different. Like buildings looked different. Everybody was talking kind of different, but everything, like, it felt familiar. Like in every realm, I think it's like that. Every realm, I think, is just a fractal version of your subjective experience of what you have programmed your subconscious to experience within your current incarnation. So like, it's like, like how we was talking about at the beginning, how it's infinite. It's all these infinite realities, right? But depending on what frequency you're on, you're connecting to a whole plethora of realities that's like that. So it's like you go from reality to reality, incarnation into incarnation, experiencing these things, depending on what your karma is, depending on, you know what I'm saying, what you need to overcome in which life, in this life, and you know what I'm saying, and then the next one and the next one and the next one.
Exactly.
See, you know what I'm saying? So what we coming to is we coming to the point of realization of this, and people are coming to the point of realizing this. And so what we're doing is we're doing our best to overcome all of the shit, all of the things that we need to overcome in order to consciously incarnate into specific lives that we want. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. So I got to talk about karma. I have a strong, drive to talk about karma. I don't know if you can hear me because it looks like you're breaking up, or I don't know if it's my end, but I'm going to continue my conversation and maybe it'll save. So,
yeah, it look like you kind of, it look fuzzy, bro. Like, I can still hear you and stuff. It's all clear, but it looks fuzzy.
It looks fuzzy? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, though.
All right. So karma. See, karma essentially are patterns of vibration or a loop that consciousness is in resonant with, okay? So karma, whenever you're in a karmic situation or dilemma or a sensation or experience, it is ultimately to remember God or the source of the one infinite creator. Karma is just to remind you of God, remind you of God, remind you of God, remind you of God.
Remind you that you are God. Remind you that you are God. That's what a lot of people miss. That's the only reason I say it. A lot of people miss that. They always think everybody is separate. We gotta figure out that this is an illusion. We're not actually separate from one another. We are actually God talking to Himself when we talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get that into people's heads. We have to put this message out to we have to put this message out to as many melanated men and women on the planet, bro, because most of the planet, this is what we got to realize, bro. Like, it's a lot of politics and shit when it comes to this. Most of the world is darker. You know what I'm saying? Only 10% or less of the world, is lighter pigmented. Okay? Is what we call Caucasians or European looking. But the people that, oh snap, he cutting it out.
I can hear.
Oh, you can hear me? You can hear me? It says it's loaded. Okay. But that 10%, 1% of that 10% right now are quote unquote ruling the world. Why? Because our ancestors, that's good and bad and everything. Some of our ancestors were able to make these they can live how they want to live, because everyone has. Oh snap! He left out the building. But basically, so I can tell the rest of the people. He sent a request back in. But yeah, basically, with our knowledge has been
Hello.
okay. Our knowledge, okay. So basically, the 1% of the 10% of those lighter pigmented people that call quote unquote Caucasian, you know what I'm saying? I'm not racist at all. I'm just giving the facts. Those people they analyzed, they took all of the ancient information, all of our ancient civilizations information, and they used it for their own betterment rather than the collective consciousness. If you get my picture. But I understand that it's prophesied that way for energy to expand, but they use that energy just to better themselves and use and manipulate it, like how we were saying earlier. Witchcraft can be used good for good or bad. They tapped into the Christ consciousness, right? How we're tapped into the Christ consciousness. They tapped into the Christ consciousness, but they're antichrist. They're using this Christ consciousness. They're devils. They're using this Christ consciousness just for them. That's it. Just for their subjective selves, not objective reality. You know what I'm saying? They're using this to go against the flow of nature.
So
what happens is they use the mind, they use the trickery because we're melanated beings. Anything that has to do with melanin and tapping into melanin and whether it's used for good or bad, we're going to tap into that. So they literally constructed a mass consciousness control system. Okay, within this control system, it's literally a system of take from the ancient melanated original man, take from their perspectives, recreate it like King James and them facts. Recreate it as if we already had this. We were in existence. Don't mention them at all. Don't mention the originals at all. Don't mention because we're not mentioned in most books on the planet. We're not mentioned as being the greatest people on the earth. You know what I'm saying? We are mentioned as being the greatest people on the earth in the ancient civilizations texts. But in no modern day history books will you ever see them talk about ancient Kemet or Sumer or Atlantis or how we were melanated beings in Atlantis, running Atlantis, or even the cosmic things. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to mention they're not going to mention how we're from the systems, you know what I'm saying, the star system series. They're not gonna mention, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. They're talking about connecting with aliens and extraterrestrials and different spirits and different energies, but they're not using any of that energy to uplift the original melanated man. This is what we really need to do. They're not using any of that energy to uplift the melanated man. They're putting that energy out and they're making money off people using their energy so that they can keep doing what they're doing, which is make slaves. They're making slaves for a system to keep their system going. So what we got to do is, in order to fight against this system, it's not really a fight. In order really to fight against this system, we have to literally put this knowledge back into the hands of the original melanated guys. The ones like, I live in the second deadliest city, bro, in America.
Which is?
I live in the second deadliest city in America. All these brothers around, they don't know shit about what we talk. They don't know nothing about what we talking about, bro. Like nothing. They're out here killing each other over little dumb ass shit. Little dumb ass. I'm talking about stupid. I'm talking about just like, bro, you looked at me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know what I'm saying? Like, in fact, bro, like one of my homeboys, he doesn't do anything. One of my homeboys, just like last week, he doesn't do anything. Like, he sells weed, which you know what I'm saying? I'm not against weed, but I'm against, you know what I'm saying, the way you use weed, the way a lot of people. But anyways, all he do is chill. You know, so he chill every day. He come over here. Sometimes he make music and stuff. This dude got his door kicked in and shot 3 times, and there's no reason. All he do is help people. All this man does is get money, and he help people out. And he chill at the crib. Somebody kicked in the door and shot him 3 times, bro.
Yeah.
And thankfully he survived. I'm grateful he survived. He was in the hospital talking about it. That's how I know about it. He went live one day. But my point is, all of this information we're talking about, if we're not if we are not doing our best to get this to primarily, I'm not saying that not everyone else needs this. Primarily, the original melanated man, the quote unquote African American and Caribbean people on this planet, the melanated, the dark skinned people on this planet, so that we can upgrade their neuromelanin to match their high frequency of eumelanin, so that they can get outside of their boxes, outside of the boxes of religion and spirituality and entertainment and all of the distractions here. Then everything we're talking about, it doesn't matter, bro. Everything we're talking about does not matter at all. Like, you can speak about Christ consciousness all day, but if you're not uplifting the people, if you're not uplifting yourself, you're basically your higher self, because the highly melanated beings is the higher self form of humanity. We are being used. We were turned into slaves. Thousands of years, millennia of programming that we have to work through now. Generational curses that we have to work through now ourselves, without the help of any other race. We have to actually go out and get it ourselves. Most of the stuff that they talk about in the Black conscious community and stuff, those men have to actually be like agents, double agents, and get into the quote unquote white man system and take that information back and bring it back to us. So any lighter pigmented person that knows all this information, that's what they need to be doing. If they're not doing it, they're a fucking devil. If they're not doing it, they're a detriment to all of human consciousness. Because we have the ability as being darker pigmented beings, and it's just straight up fact, as being darker pigmented beings, we have the ability to absorb more sunlight, and therefore the sun is our mind. Light is consciousness and thought. So therefore, we have the ability to take in, and on top of that, we have more polymorphisms in our DNA structure, in our genetic structure, than any other people on the planet. And polymorphisms denote intelligence, high intelligence. So we have the ability to take in more sunlight and intellectualize all of the energy of nature, and literally break down all of our imagination. Like I was talking about earlier, what you imagine you can bring into existence. We literally have the power to absorb that energy, utilize our imagination to attract the logic we need, and utilize the resources on this planet to make whatever we want into existence, period. Once that's done, once we get to that stage, bro, once we get to that stage where nearly every melanated man and woman on this planet, melanated guys on this planet, know that they are God and know what technologies to make and to use, we will literally be living in, like, you know how on these movies they have all of these futuristic shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we will literally be living like that day to day.
Imagination,
you know what I'm saying?
Future of our evolution and progression as a civilization. So you're 100% right, brother. You're 100% right. The whole notion. So Raw, this text that I was telling you about, they have this whole notion of service to others and service to self. When you're service to self, you are selfish. When you're service to other, you are a giver. Now it's like a Jedi and a Sith. That's not a fabrication of George Lucas' imagination. That is the ancient Egyptian order, the Jedi and the Sith. Sith synonymous. Remember, this is back in the Egypt. Sith is synonymous with Seth, the god of death. You know what I mean? This is chaos.
Yeah.
This is also synonymous. When you're a Jedi, you're a Magi. When you're a Jedi, the what's it called, the lightsaber is really your spine. You know what I mean?
It's the Jed scepter. That's where they got the Jedi from. The Jed scepter in ancient Kemet.
Yes, sir. This is Egyptian. You know what I mean? So the whole notion of service to others and service to self. So what we are saying, Christ consciousness is service to others and to the light consciousness and to God. You know what I mean? God is just, the universal substratum of intelligence. You know what I mean? This good. Yeah. God is good. Unconditional love. God, when
all the time.
You know what I mean? God is good. You know what I mean? And really self. It's really just self. The self. You are infinite. Right here, right now. The now itself is infinite. And I'm just choosing free will to choose from infinity. reality? Are we going to enlighten the civilization and the melanated beings and activate the light codes within, like be receptive to receive the light codes and then activate our DNA that activates, a higher consciousness and unification with the unified collective field of the universe? You know what I mean? Like there's just many densities and many levels, and it's okay. And that's where karma comes in. Like honestly, like to put aside what happened on the material level and just look at the subconscious mind and the karma. Okay. So obviously all this stuff happened to melanated people, thousands of years of generational and stuff like that. But ultimately it's karma. You know what I mean? It's ultimately karma. And karma is ultimately to remember God. And God is just so basically, like you're saying that, in order to be everything must become nothing. And that's essentially what's going on. It's the acclimatation process from karma to, utilizing, like, to remember God self and to remember the supreme self, Alpha and Omega, omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, in the now space. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about, everything that's going on right now. I feel like it just, me and you are just consciousness going through this experience of linear structure, time, space, reality. And, we're consciousness, time is
Cholo, you breaking up a little bit. You breaking up a little bit, fam.
Am I good? Let me know if I'm
You
good.
cutting out, bro.
Am I good?
Okay, you good now, yeah.
All right. Like I was saying, that we're just consciousness. We're experiencing a linear structure. We're experiencing all these manifestations and incarnations and, the novelty and the expressions. Really, it's all magic. It's all magic. Language is just magic. These spells that are inside our subconscious mind, people are just running on subconscious programmings, okay? And grimoire is just grammar. So we're just consciousness, and these spells or vibrations that's incepted inside our subconscious mind, the ghetto is just repeating a certain vibrational expression, or these archetypes that is resurrecting through all these ghetto people. You know what I mean? Like I incarnated inside of something like that too, but I left that matrix system by the acclimatization to my consciousness to the unified field of God. And by doing that, I see the illusion of the physicality and the physical manifestation. And, I tapped in and tuned into the Christ consciousness, and I was able to see beyond this chaos, this system that imprisons you psychologically, your soul. It imprisons the light. It literally drains your soul, because like pornography and like these systems that drain your vital energy and tell you to eat fast food and tell you to do this and pay attention, because your attention is your consciousness, and you got to pay your consciousness. So you're always selling your soul. So wherever you pay attention, that's where your consciousness is flowing. You know what I mean? So we got to pay attention to God. And I just say God because there's many densities or dimensions all the way back to the unification field of source. And that's really what God is, the unification field of consciousness. And you got to place your attentions on the one consciousness of the supreme intelligence. And automatically, by your beingness, it's not even about the knowledge per se. Like, knowledge is great, but it's more
It got to be a balance, though, bro. That's what I'm saying. It got to be a balance, bro. You got to be a balance. You have to know that you are the supreme intelligence, simultaneously experiencing your subjective self and focusing. So when you get to that point where you know that you are the supreme intelligence, you are the all, the everything and the no thing simultaneously.
Sir,
you have to be wise enough to channel that directly into your subjective experience in order to recreate, the environment, basically your whole experience, in order to recreate it. So when you were saying about Seth and Ra, or you saying about Seth and Ra, it's about Set and Ra, that it's about balancing them. It's about acknowledging that all is self. Like, even when you see, it's about breaking the illusion of separation, period. We got to study the 5 sciences. We have to study astrology, quantum physics, melanin, grounding, and biology, epigenetics. We have to study these sciences, these 5 sciences that will help you enter the kingdom of heaven and stay there. You have, but in order for you to continually stay there, you must proclaim it. You must constantly proclaim it. Proclaim means to publicly announce with due emphasis.
I know what I am.
So we got to actually go out in the streets.
No,
we actually have to go out online, all over social media, and blast it, whether people like it or not, and blast this information, blast the sciences that help people know that they are God, they are Christ consciousness. They need to become more aware of how they're God and how they're Christ consciousness, and then not just know the information or just feel like, you know what I'm saying, feelize it. Actually actively channel that energy into all of your reflections lives on a daily basis. Channel that energy into every single reflection's life on a daily basis, because that really is yourself.
Exactly. So the reason I said that knowledge is not, like, knowledge itself is great, but ultimately, when you know yourself, you get to the point that it's not just verbal articulation. Although verbal articulation through this modus operandi to spread conscious information is great, it's the being. You know what I mean? It's the state of being. And when you're in your Christ state of being, you acclimate through alchemy the vibratory field or the physical manifestation of this 3D holographic universe to that of the Holy Spirit, to that of heaven, just by beingness. So what I'm saying is that
it's about living it rather than just talking about it. It's about living it.
Yes, sir. It's about being the Christ, by being this light source back to source itself. You know what I mean? To be a beacon of consciousness that is in resonant with this supreme intelligence, and allowing, like Eckhart Tolle. Like, me and Eckhart Tolle had the same birthday. And matter of fact, the ladies that made the tarot cards, this lady, we have the same birthday. You know what I mean? Like I gotta tell you the story. I don't know if you peeped it on the first time I talked to Chief, but whenever I first got the tarot cards, I asked the tarot cards, hey, show me this is real. Show me that this is actually something that I would know. You know what I mean? And I didn't pick up the first card. I picked up the first couple cards. But the first couple cards that I picked up was this card. And it says she was born on February 16th. And that's my birthday. And I'm like, life is a dream. This is all the holographic universe, and I am just here experiencing this incarnation, and I am here for divine purpose, as we all are, to manifest the kingdom of heaven through our state of being and witness of the perfection of all the creation. That's it. It doesn't have to be complex. It's the word. It's the word of God, the golden ratio, the pi, the geometry of love, which is when pi comes together and it forms the heart, and it forms love unification with the one infinite creator.
That's a fact. And to add on to that, I umped my first son into existence. He's 2 now. And he's about to turn 3 in February 23rd.
Pisces, cool.
My birthday is my login date is 3/22, March 22nd.
Okay.
His login date is 2/23.
2/23, that's fly.
And I consciously, this is how I know it's holographic, like you were saying, just to prove what you were saying, because I literally umped him into existence. I made an unk energy. I took my Merkaba, I took my aura, my Taurus field, and while I was, you know what I'm saying, having intercourse with my wife, I literally umped him into existence. I manifested, I consciously basically put him into her. You know what I'm saying? So he could replicate his cells and stuff and bring him into this reality.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I know exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Apollo. I almost did that with Apollo. Like, so I gotta tell you this. So I did LSD, and by doing LSD, I was working with the spiritual tech, and this God wanted to seek expression through and as me. And I was wondering, why did I want to name my son this? I wanted to name my son Apollo Solomon Salcedo. And then when I did LSD, like, legit, this God just came through me. It's on my Instagram, because I had recorded it when I was on LSD, and I was like, a deity sees his expression through this vessel in deity's name.
Oh, that's on your Instagram. That's on your whole experience of that. It's on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I gotta go see that.
Yeah. So that day, that deity once expressed through and as me, and I almost did exactly what you're talking about, and I almost manifested him. So I know exactly you on him with your morphic field, your portals, your chakra systems, and you allow that soul to come through and as you, that light.
Yeah, you push the energy out. You push the energy out through your heart space, and then you curve it around. You curve it around your crown chakra and push it through your back again. Yeah, and then you allow it to flow down through your, you know what I'm saying, down to your lower chakras and push it through.
That's so fly. That's so fly. That's so fly. But I'm saying, Apollo, the god Apollo, Solomon, this vibratory complex, seek the expression through and as this vessel that is I am. You know what I mean? And this God wants to express through and as me in this incarnation. It's gonna be done. And this God, my sun or the light, you know what I mean? The soul.
It's you. And it wants to be manifest and replicated.
The soul.
Fact.
The soul. Brother.
So
leave it off right there because I got.
Yeah. I was about to say the same thing, bro. We in tune.
Yes, bro. I got the school system. You know what I mean. I'm in 12th grade, so I gotta, already set my system in place so I can be in harmony with the. So I gotta knock out and go into the astral realms.
Facts. Well, all right, bro. It's nice talking to you, man. I must say that, all this information we talking about, man, is reflecting the light, man. We need to constantly do that. We need to reflect that light. We need to constantly reflect it and reciprocate the information with each other so that our consciousness can grow and explain at a steady pace. And I love myself, reflection.
Stay blessed. Stay in line to your Christ self. We'll talk soon. Love thyself.
Peace, God. All right, y'all, man. What y'all think about that, man? I'm about to get off of here, man, and see if y'all want to ask any questions, man. I'm about to end this live, and then I'm gonna open a Q&A. Because there was a lot of information, put out. So if anyone has any particular questions about that, you can come in the next live. I'm out. I love myself. Godspeed. Peace.